Yeah.
All I wanted to say is, Marshall, you and your Milky Way ghetto bullshit. I'm just like, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not. That's like my favorite part.
The hood, you would have thought, like, right? You think the hood is like Compton and like certain areas, but it's like, according to the higher species, it's the whole damn fucking galaxy over here. Like, you, Mars, Venus, Uranus, Saturn, the whole damn solar system is ghetto, bro. You guys got what your one sun having ass. Like,
I mean, to be, is this something we did not know? I mean, South Park did the episode, and at the end of the episode, they just like put the caution sign around, like, do not cross around Earth. This planet is unredeemable.
Right.
Is indeed Milky ghetto.
I saw like as soon as I heard that part, I was like, that is such a personal attack.
Right.
On like such a cosmic level. For them to be like, yeah, you may be the smartest dude, but you're from the fucking ghetto.
Right. Like they came on a date here and she was just not impressed. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, like I've seen better shit on the other end of the galaxy. Like this is way too ghetto for me. Like,
you say you're cute,
so rough for them. And they're like, we need you to forget this part of your life.
you're cute, but can we go to the movies on my side of town?
Mm-hmm. Like, really? Y'all got that asteroid belt right there?
That's the wrong side of the track.
Welcome, nerds, to a special edition of the Nerdcast Podcast. We are your host. We got my guy Flame hanging out with us this time. We don't see him too often, but we also do What's Your Nerd with Flame. He's one of the hosts of that as well. And we got Wisconsin Johnson, and then myself, Nerd Solo.
You got three of the best. You got three of the best right in front of you.
The Triforce, the three amigos, three musketeers. Here it is, right here.
Pyramid, bitch.
Triangle. We need more nerds. But this is a special edition because we are doing our nerd review of X-Men 97, the animated series. They brought that whole thing back, guys.
Yeah.
They killed it. They killed it.
Oh, yeah. They definitely did. I was talking to Nerd a little bit about this before. I was like, why did this particular show go so goddamn hard? Like, why were they... Like, did you notice, like, for Disney, they were really just, like, taking risk with, like, the subject matter, the characters. Like, they really were developing these characters, and it was kind of cool because, like, they already had a cool platform to, like, launch off of. But, like, they didn't coast at all off of what they did before. They really, like, They obviously love the IP of X-Men because they treated it with so much care. Like, rarely in this day and age do reboots or remasters get this level of care. And I was curious to see, like, why y'all, because I have my own theory on why, but I just want to hear, like, why y'all thought they went so hard with this. Like, subject matter, character development, we're talking... They brought the outfits back, dog. The outfits. I got a comic book right here where everybody is rocking their old classic. Actually, I put it aside so I could, because I have classic X-Men, right? They brought back some of the outfits, dog. You seen that?
Oh,
You know what I
beautiful.
mean? You seen that? Like,
Oh yeah,
let's
that,
start there.
that's a classic right there. That is a classic right there that you just held up.
That
But
was a beautiful thing. Just so amazing. I love being able to actually see that stuff again.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, if you look at my background, that's what I tell. Like, I was like, it's gonna be hard to convince me
Mm.
that Marvel's doing wrong. But I'll be honest. But it's like, yo, look, I love it. I'm here for everything. But yes, open it up. Let me know why you guys thought this show went so hard, because it definitely did.
so
Ooh, I would probably have to say like, oh, you go ahead, Corey. Yeah, it's like that. I'm curious what you got to say.
okay. Mine isn't too deep or anything like that. Um, what you said, like the subject matter, I do believe. I was thinking about this when I was watching it. I was like, I don't remember a lot of these scenes being like how it is, but it was. The cartoon was a little risque. There was mad romance into it and a lot of adult themes, which was easy to bring us back in. All they had to do was just up it a little bit more because their target audience was, you know, the thirsty, 90s kids who are all growing up now. So that was their main demographic, and that was one of the reasons why they went so hard and had to do it a little bit over the top, because I feel like this is why, because they're 20 something minute episodes. We're adults. It's great because we got things to do, so it's a great change of pace because we're used to watching like 40 to an hour long shows and things like that. But I think that's why they did that. It helped out a lot, and they jam packed each episode, and it didn't even feel like it was like crammed in there. They did it very well, except for the Moto episode, which I think it's a consensus that's everybody's least favorite episode, or at least the first part of it, because the second part of it was life life after death, or what was that, part one,
Um,
where Storm loses her powers, and
Right.
right.
yeah, so that was like
I can't think of the episode name, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah. So I think that's why they went that hard, and also just because it's X-Men, man. Like, like, come on, it's awesome. It was great. So like I don't think it was really that deep. I just think we're nerds who want it when we want it, and they couldn't afford to misfire.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I think for me, and it just kind of like what you were saying is, excuse me, is that they realize who the target audience is. And obviously, like when the show first came out, most of us were really too young to like grasp onto like a lot of what was happening. We were very focused on just how cool the characters were and just like how focused in on how much you wanted to be, like for example a leader like Cyclops, how you just wanted to like have that ability to draw people in and they'll listen to you, but then also still be like one of the most badass people out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it is they realized that like, hey, like this started in like 92, and all of these people have gone they've grown up, they're hitting this point in their life where some of them have kids, and even if they don't, a lot of the media nowadays is toned down in a way that it can irritate some of the
Yeah.
OGs that have been watching this stuff for a long time. Where, like, I kind of brought up in one of our other episodes that when we were nerds, we got bullied for it, but nowadays it's just like, yeah, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think like they're realizing that this target audience is just now at a point where we want to see something that like hits us to our core, but it also doesn't take away from the fact that it's still like an animated show. So for them to be able to bring in this type of like relationship drama with like Scott and Jean, with Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto, these are things that some of us have seen. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just like it's such it's such a good feeling to like kind of get recognized in that sense, where like I guess live action shows, even if it's not like animated related, I don't know, it's hard for me to kind of get into them just because it's not what I grew up watching. But to be able to have that type of drama where, like, for example, Tanae loves her Bridgerton, and that show is filled with nothing but all sorts of drama. But it's hard for me
Yeah.
to connect with it just because, again, I'm just so used to animation. Like, it's my go-to. It's the thing that makes me feel better. So to be able to get that drama in a medium where I can truly get invested in, it just feels good. And just watching these characters that I grew up with, also seeing them growing up in the sense too, it helps out a lot. You know, it keeps the interest going, and you're just like, okay, cool. So they're not perfect. And I think that's a big reminder that they put out in the show. They're like, look,
Yeah.
you idolize these people, but we're going to humanize them. Some of them more
Yeah.
than others.
No, most
So,
definitely. And honestly, that's funny because that is the theory I was hitting on. I was trying to say, I was like, look, I think that they finally realized that it's okay to grow these characters with the base audience that you created them for. And I think that a lot of times with most of anything that we grew up with or any type of creation, they try to like reintroduce it for like a new era, and I don't think that's the best thing all the time. I think it's nice to have that thing grow with the generation you created it for. And I think that X-Men 97 hit this like 10 out of 10. Because everything you just said, I was gonna say, it's like, yo, you got the relationship drama, you got like the baby in danger, and it's like that's the difference between. It's funny that the show takes place only a little bit after the end of the show, but so many new grown theories are introduced. You know, back then it was just like kind of, and again, the show was great, but I felt like it was kind of just like good guy, bad guy. You know, it was great. The characters were cool. They looked cool, but it was nice to just have like the level of humanity in it. It's like, look, man, what would you do if you believe that what you're fighting for is correct? Even though the other people might not agree with it, but you believe
right.
wholeheartedly in your soul that what you're doing is the right thing. And you get that a lot with like Magneto. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
Mm-hmm.
he's still the bad guy, but they humanized him enough to where like he's just not doing shit to stir shit up. It's just like, yo, I really believe in the shit that I'm fighting for. And like they did it in a way that even you were like, yo, I kind of believe, like I kind of feel you, dog. You know what I mean? Like I kind
Correct. I mean,
but
That
like
little
you got the slogan Magneto was right. But
yeah.
I think I don't think it was really you're right, it grew because they I would use the word expanded because
Mm,
those themes were always there, especially in a show like the X-Men. You know, it's very political, very, the themes that they dealt with, the issues that they dealt with was basically like their version of what was happening in the real world. So they had it's kind
right,
mm.
of Star Wars, like we like it because lightsabers and all this stuff. It's very political and there's a lot of like underlying themes. What I think they did is they expanded on those more details,
Mm.
which like because like as kids, like you said, Flame, you know, it was just like bad guy, good guy. We hear the plan, but we don't listen, or we hear the issue and like the plan to stop it, and like why we need to stop it, but we don't really listen. Whereas
yeah.
in like X-Men, they do explain a little bit more, especially in 97, where they really get into detail and really like hit home with some of these issues, between humans and mutants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
I think and something that I really enjoyed more of, like in the new, like in this '97 series that they did, is I remember that the original it bounced around a lot and it encompassed in a lot of the other Marvel storylines. I really love that for like I say 75%, 80% of this new series, it's truly about the X-Men. But then you get a little bit of a sprinkling of Captain America, King T'Challa, you see Iron Man for a hot minute. Hell, you even see Peter Parker with Mary Jane. So it's nice to like get those little reminders, but I'm glad they still very much kept the focus on like the X-Men as the group. Because I think that was something that I always kind of remembered when I was watching it. Because then you're sitting there, you're like, wait, when did these characters come into play? What did I miss? And then back then, you couldn't like just look it up.
No, very true. And that was cool.
You had to sit there and watch the show. It's just like, right?
No, that's what's cool too, is that like this show did not coast off of those appearances at all, man. And that was kind of the cool thing back then. It was like, I remember there was a Spider-Man episode where the X-Men featured on him, and then it was like vice versa, you know, and it, like that was a big thing. I even think they like promoted it. It was like the crossover. But like this, it was just like, hey, guess what's happening? We're about to throw a planet at y'all. And that's what I like. And it was like, yo, listen, like, we're not even gonna, like, if you look at the descriptions of the episode, they're very brief. And then you watch them and it's like, yo, if I'm just reading this description, this is not even 3% of what the fucking episode is about. Like, you guys are like, it's like they're purposely like being misleading, and like they're purposely like doing these things. Like, and this goes back to my theory. Like, I honestly think that Marvel right now is realizing the tools it needs to be like super successful. It's like, okay, listen, we can't rope everybody in. And that's what these last phases were about. You seen it. It was like, you seen like the experimental things with She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. You saw what works and what didn't. But this was the experiment where it's like, look, how do we get our actual fan base? And I think they did it. It was like, and like, I won't get too much into it because I'll let the discussion develop, but like, I have so many theories about this direction they took and why, because I really feel like it was super deliberate. And I feel like they're planning some things right now, you know, like that episode 10, bro, like, we got a post-credit scene for an anime, dog. We got a post-credit scene for a cartoon. Now, what is that? You know what I mean? What does that tell you? It's like, yo, you guys are really invested in this cartoon. You guys are really invested. But yeah, we'll keep it pushing because like I don't want to.
We are going to get there, but since we do have 9 minutes left in this part of the podcast. Let's start it off with just the first thing we had. What was the best glow up to you guys? Who had the best glow up from the old animated series to X-Men 97 when we just got finished watching? Who had the best glow up?
I'll start. Can I start?
Who are the nominees and who is the best?
I'm gonna nominate your boy Magneto, okay? Just because I'm gonna nominate Magneto, just because like before he was mainly an antagonist, right? Like I feel like they didn't really humanize Magneto. Like they showed his origin, but like whenever you saw him, it was like Mr. Bad Guy. I'm here to just wreck stuff and cause a ruckus. But on this one, you got to see like more like the driven passion, which we already know is there. Like if you really like read the comics, but like from that cartoon standpoint, it's like I remember watching the older one, and it's like whenever you saw the Brotherhood, and like there really wasn't the brother, it was just like mutants, okay, like, and it really allowed him to like again, it's like I believe in his it's just because it's like, yo, like how many times do I have to be this person? Like I've tried to be multiple people and it's never good enough. Like instead, back then it was just like, screw humans. I'm here to just destroy stuff, and you guys know my name. Like whenever you see the cape, it's over, you know. But this time it was like, look, I'm trying your way. I'm trying to be a better person, but it's never good enough. What do we do here? And like for me, that was because I felt like, look, the other characters, they were dope, you know, and it was cool the way they inserted minor characters and made a major. Like Forge is, we know how dope Forge is, but like Forge in this season was like, Forge is dope. But it was like Magneto, you got to see him as kind of a protagonist. Like he really had the full circle
It
development.
it was the classic anti-hero.
Right.
Yeah.
And it went back to why, and it's like, this is why Magneto's an asshole. You see, it doesn't matter. You can't have it both ways. Like, this is why he's the way he is. It doesn't matter which way he plays it, you're gonna put him in the position to be Magneto.
Be Magneto. So you
Yeah.
Magneto. Who do you nominate for?
So this is a really close one for me. I think this is going to be a little bit of ringer surprise type of pick. I almost also said Magneto as my number one, but for me, in all honesty, Jubilee,
Jubilee.
because
Okay.
she becomes such an integral part of the team out of nowhere. Like from being the new kid on the block essentially to being the one that's recruiting the younger ones, especially
Yeah.
Portuguese kid, can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but just watching her try to be so inclusive, and then also essentially like that video game episode where she is more or less battling against but with herself,
Yeah.
in the sense that she needed that reminder of her from herself, the video game version of herself, to truly put focus on the people in front of you, the people around you, instead of focusing on this digital frontier that is pretty much the focus of the world today right now. Like everyone is so focused on trying to create a brand and trying to look good online, but then you forget about how you're really supposed to be interacting with the people
Right.
around you. So like seeing her grow up essentially in that sense, like truly in front of us, where in the beginning of the series, when in the OG animated series, you know, she's just brought into the X-Men, she's learning, she's what, 16 years old when she's first brought into the series, and now she's hitting her 18th birthday and becoming an adult in like a crazy way. You know, watching the man that's helping you with your powers die and then watching this new family of yours kind of fall apart, but still trying to keep that mentality of, hey, like this is my group, this is my team, I've got to do what I can to bring it together, but also to expand it and make sure that everybody has the opportunity, can be included. So yeah, I personally love watching Jubilee's kind of transformation.
That is a excellent nominee.
That is that is a great nominee, man. You know what? I do believe flew definitely under the radar, but like you bringing up all those points, it's like, yeah, man, that is an excellent pick for a glow up, because she definitely had the definition of a glow up, man. I definitely agree. I
Yeah.
cannot disagree with that at all.
Especially with the powers. I mean, but also let's go ahead and get that mock up ready for the Jubilee running for president campaign, because
Yeah.
you're going to be for See, yeah, that compelling argument shot her way up the list for me, because I had her on my list, but I didn't pick who won best glow up in my book. But it was, I say Gambit, but I'm a little bit of bias because he's always been my favorite X-Men. But his glow up was kind of like Jubilee's, except he was more of an adult, considered an adult in the old version, and he's more of a leader. Like Jubilee and Gambit are more leaders in this one. More so Jubilee, the way you explained it too. And now that I'm thinking about it, like she really does like take charge and has a much bigger role. Her and Cyclops, you know, they Cyclops
Yeah.
a
Yep.
fucking dork growing up. Like, I couldn't stand anything about Cyclops. I hated polo shirts because of Cyclops. hated I hated the color salmon because of Cyclops. Like, now I'm an adult, I'm a dad. Like, I love the color salmon. Like, I think I wore salmon every Father's Day for like the past 3 or 4 Father's Day.
Oh, that's great.
Like, I look at
Yeah.
like, you grow up and you're like, I think I'm a little bit like Cyclops. We're all a little bit of Cyclops. But Storm, her glow up, they did her justice. It's not even like she needed a glow up. They just needed to do her justice. And they really
Right.
And it was really emotional with hers too, especially in the beginning with her losing her powers. And then my last, I know I'm listing all my nominees, but like Jean, for the very simple part, they did her justice. Like, she's not fainting every time she used her goddamn power. Like, holy hell, I hate at least thing about the show in the 90s. She fainted
every episode.
Yeah,
every episode.
you are not lying, bro. That is
driving
funny.
crazy. Like, but then you see at the end when she's fighting Mr. Sinister, they paid homage to the old one and had her faint just for a
Yeah,
second. But
just to bring it back, we got to run it back one time.
A little bit.
But we're coming down on time. We'll let you know who won Best Glow Up as soon as we get back.
Oh my goodness!
Hitting the pause button.